Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 20 of the F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Mexican Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live quite late yesterday evening, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out from Kota. Of course, we've now tried out the new patch inside F124. It does seem to have tweaked and changed a few little bits and pieces from within this game. But yes, we have just 5 rounds to go of the season. There is still a lot to play for, at least for us, in terms of the championship and in the bigger picture as well, because Max Verstappen seems to be having a bit of a disaster towards the end of the year, and Sergio Perez seems to be having a bit of bad luck as well late on in the campaign. The gap at the top is still 69 points between Sergio and his teammates, so he really does need a big result here as he heads back to his home Grand Prix. We are 7th, 2 points ahead of Alonso, 3 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton, so we are definitely locked into a big battle between now and the end of the campaign. The gap to Aston Martin is slowly opening up, 27 points between the two teams. So we're going to need a bit of a miracle, but if ever that was going to happen anywhere, then hopefully Mexico might be that track, of course. Hoping we can try and return to some fine form around this venue, and of course that must start with a good qualifying.
It may only be Friday practice, but the Forest Sol is quickly filling up. A very warm welcome to the buzzing metropolis that is Mexico City.
Well, at the time of recording this, we are just about 500 subscribers away from 130k, so if you aren't already and you are enjoying the content on the channel, please do make sure you hit that sub button as well. I mean, I do just want to say a massive thank you to everybody for the continued support on F124. Over on Matsu 2 gameplay, earlier today, we saw the opening round of the Season 2 of our My Team's career mode. It was quite dramatic. I would recommend checking it out once you've watched this video as well there. We've got a lot of cool stuff going on kind of within the Matsu 2 empire, if you will, at the moment. MotoGP is back, F1 Manager is right around the corner as well. Obviously, we've got this series, the My Team career mode, and lots of other cool bits and pieces as well there. So yeah, having a lot of fun. And at the time you're watching this, we might be live over on Twitch as well, doing more co-op with Gary inside this game. So yeah, plenty to be excited about at the moment. Also, hopefully you're going to be excited if we can get a purple score over the line. Is it going to be purple? Yes, it is. Bang on the score we needed. Mexico is definitely one of those tracks I always used to loathe coming to on the F1 game, but on this new one, yeah, with the new how much front end grip you've got. Yeah, thank you, Mark. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, with how much front end you've got though inside F124, this circuit is definitely a whole lot more enjoyable, especially when I can find half a second of delta before we make it down to turn 1. Such a monstrous front straightaway here. It is always, I would argue, one of the most dramatic turn 1s in Formula 1. As once again we make our way out of the Forest Sol, just trying to get that tyre delta where we need it. A lot of big traction zones towards the end of the lap. We're just, only just, going to creep up into purple, so let's get into qualifying.
This is a special place to go motor racing. We have the Forest Sol. The track is warming up nicely, and it is nearly time to set the grid for tomorrow's Grand Prix. What an atmosphere we have in Mexico City.
Well, we have ultimately been a bit of a bottle job recently in qualifying sessions, both in Singapore and Texas. We found ourselves out in Q2, so we'd like to try and return back to Q3 here today, especially when you consider how high at the championship table we currently are. 2 wins to our name. Admittedly, that has been more than a third of our points over the course of the season as well there, but, you know, 2 very, very high-speed tracks. And another one here today. Is Singapore now a high-speed track? I don't know. Someone tell me down in the comments below. You still need a lot of wing round there, but it's probably actually quite similar to Mexico now in that regard. There are 2 kind of outliers on the Formula 1 circuit there, as have a second up on Kevin Magnussen through the first sector. Again, I don't think the AI using hot lap mode anymore in qualifying. I don't think they ever started using it again. I just think they got, the overtake mode even. I think they just got a tiny bit quicker in qualifying, because otherwise we seem to massively be able to upset on Saturday and then never seemingly have the pace on Sunday. What's the gap now? 8 tenths up on Kevin Magnussen, so still finding time around the rest of the lap. But yeah, I think we might want to stop using the overtake mode again, because it certainly hasn't been tweaked in the newest patch for F124. Through the final couple of corners, Perez just in front of me is going to peel into the pit lane, and we are going to do a 1:15.0, puts us in P6. But it did only take us one run then here in Q1, and once again, Max Verstappen just seems to have the advantage over everybody here, quicker than both of the Ferraris. A bit gutted, Hulkenberg actually seemingly did quite well on his first run, but was unable to improve, so just 17 thousandths of a second he is out in Q1. He's joined by Ricciardo, both Saubers, and Logan Sargent, to maybe the surprise of absolutely nobody. Well, I'm going to do this first run then in Q2 using no overtake mode again, then just to wait and see as to what the raw pace of the car looks like. I mean, we'll lose a bit of time through the first sector, but ultimately after that, there's not really many places you can use the overtake mode around this venue, especially as Hot Lap does still allow you to get right up towards the top of the rev range there, almost 210 miles an hour as we approach turn 1, 209. It just flashes up as Leclerc now pretty much matches the time Verstappen did in Q1. The bigger question is, are we going to see Perez get close? Making our way then down into the final sector. We are pretty much even then with Alex Albon in that Williams, who's currently slotted himself up in P11. Williams' one-lap pace this year really hasn't been that strong, so Albon's done very well to drag it as high as he has on a couple of occasions. Out of the final corner, though, it's a 15.1 last time round. This time it's a 15.7. So, yeah, it's just all over the show. I don't really know what's going on with this game. Well, overtake mode or not then, it's going to require a Herculean effort to see ourselves into Q3. Lewis Hamilton currently the one on the cusp on a 1:15.0, so that's exactly what we need to try and aim for here. We'll see how much time we can find in Sector 1. See, immediately 2/10 up though, so it definitely does still make quite a lot of difference around this circuit. Our last lap wasn't particularly fantastic though. There was definitely a couple of little errors as well. There is chuck the car through the turn 1 curbs. Absolutely bouncing over those now. They do have a much bigger effect as immediately half a second up. That's how much difference it means. That's how much of an advantage the overtake mode gets you. And immediately we are 2/10 up as Hamilton now into the drop zone. So we're seeing others improve. Unfortunately though, we just don't seem to be able to find the time around the rest of the lap. Maybe took a bit too much out of the tyres early on. Just still climbing up around between 4/10 and half a second up here to make our way through the final couple of corners, attack that curbing, and it's going to be mighty close as to whether we make it into Q3. Up to the line, P12 again. We are right in that fight, but it is not enough. And there we go then, Charles Leclerc bringing the fight to Max Verstappen. So is Sergio Perez there, half a tenth covering the two Red Bulls at the end of Q2. But Carlos Sainz once again springing a surprise there at the end of qualifying. Hamilton out in Q2. There was half a tenth from half a tenth between Sainz in 10th and myself in 12th place there. But once again, we just find ourselves on the wrong side of that cutoff.
Welcome to the most populous city in North America. The legendary Jim Clark won the first official F1 race here in 1963. It's Mexico City, and it's Grand Prix Sunday. 2,285 metres above sea level, the altitude will test the driver's fitness and their engine's efficiency. 17 corners, 7 to the left, 10 to the right, and make up a 2.6-mile circuit equipped with 2 DRS zones. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Tsunoda, Perez, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Sainz, Mr. Monaco, Albon, Gasly, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Sargent, Joe, Hamilton, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Okay, mate, I know it's tough in there, it's hot in that cockpit, but your tyres are even hotter, so you're going to have to work extra hard to keep them cool. It matters for performance.
Well, Lewis Hamilton then clearly decided he didn't fancy starting in the mid-pack. Grid penalties for him, and Daniel Ricciardo sees both of them at the rear of the field then. But taking a look at strategy, I'll say it before and I'll say it again. The two-stop is viable around Mexico City. We're going to start on the mediums, though, just see how far we can take them, see if we can avoid trouble early on. But yeah, Red Bull and Ferrari now seemingly interchangeable at the top of the field. When it comes to pace, Max Verstappen lines up P2, Sergio Perez lines up P4. All of that can change, though, on the long old run down towards Turn 1 as we wait on the grid then, ready for the 5 red lights here in Mexico City. It is lights out and away we go there as well. We actually have reacted really well to the lights, but then no throttle down in the second phase there. Albon and Gasly will say thank you very much. So will Esteban Ocon as we try and have a look to the outside in towards the first corner. Will there be any room for us? Look at the speed. How has everybody else got that much speed? And Magnussen's going to move across me in the braking zone. And immediately we have picked up front wing damage there. Don't know whether anybody else has been quiet in all of that.
Front wing, damage to your front wing. Suggest we box to change it.
What a nightmare start then here in Mexico, and now I guess we're basically hoping for a safety car or something like that later on in the afternoon. Not going to stop us trying to go back on a fight early on here. Maybe we can cause a little bit of commotion for some of the other drivers as well. But yeah, what was Magnussen doing? We were alongside each other. He just tries to brake ever so slightly later than me and then just cuts me off in towards that first corner. Now he's going to go side by side with his old teammate in Nico Hulkenberg. This might be actually a good opportunity for our Haas teammate to outscore me or outfinish me at some point between now and the end of the year. But yeah, we need to peel into the pit lane then at just the end of lap 1. We could be in for quite a lonely race here this afternoon here in Mexico. But that being said, there's every possibility of a safety car or a red flag or something that can happen a bit later on, as it is still Charles Leclerc at the front. Looks like Tsunoda's moved up to P2, and I've picked up a 10-second penalty as well. This has not been a good start to this Grand Prix. We can get rid of that, though, if we do get a safety car. So, yeah, basically that's everything we're hoping for this afternoon, because it will give us a chance to get back in then. But new front wing going on, hard tyres going on as well. Not sure how long we're going to be able to take these into the afternoon.
Let's go, come on. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare to kickstart the weekend.
These tyres through to the end now.
And in a car that is getting weaker and weaker in terms of performance towards the end of the year, that was not what we needed. Well, this track genuinely seemed to be one of my luckiest in F1 23. As I mentioned before, we won our first 3 ever Mexican Grand Prix back when we did the My Team career mode inside that game. On F1 24, it seems to be one of my unluckiest. So we got bullied by Lance Stroll and I think it was Magnussen in the My Team race here. I can't remember what happened last season. I remember Gasly got a podium. So it doesn't seem to be a good track for us. That being said, though, we are taking time out of Zhou and Ricciardo that seem to be tripping each other up. Well, Mexico as a circuit then is very, very limited inside F1 24. So we are going to try and manage those tyres and make sure that we're not cooking the rears. I mean, we could theoretically go right to the end on this set of tyres, but I'm not convinced it would be the quickest way to go. But yeah, I hope Ricciardo and Zhou realise just how much they're costing each other at the moment, because we can actually get back to them before they pit. Might give me a little bit of extra motivation then early on. Our lap times are very consistent. We've done, I think, the last 4 laps in a row, all within the space of a tenth of each other, so pretty happy with the times that we're able to hit. The only issue we've got, yeah, is that Ricciardo now is just kind of carrying Zhou Guanyu along. I feel like, yeah, if Zhou was to drop out of the DRS range, then he might continue to fall back slightly quicker into our clutches. But, yeah, still, but we're really just waiting, yeah, for a safety car or a red flag. This would absolutely as well be the kind of race where I go 30 laps, basically, without seeing another car, and then we'd get an engine failure. Oh, we got yellows, come on. Give us a safety car, nice and early on in the afternoon. I don't even know who it is with issues. It might be our teammate. No? Oh, it's a Williams. I think it's Alex Albon that is out of the Grand Prix. Yes, it is. So we're not going to be in 20th for very long. But, yeah, no safety car from that one. Well, we might still be ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship come the end of this weekend, because he seems to be unable to make much progress at all here at the moment. I think Alonso is sadly going to get back ahead of me, though. Tyre wear, it's not looking fantastic. That front left is just starting to struggle a little bit as we put it through a bit more work. But are we going to see anyone again? I've refused to pit unless we're under a safety car, because I don't want to take the full effect of that penalty either. So it's either we get a safety car and we box, or we don't get a safety car and we serve this penalty at the end of the race. Well, it looks like Sargent then has backed up Magnussen into Ricciardo and Zhou Guanyu here, so we might be about to see the second of those Saubers drop out of the DRS window. I mean, we're going to be ahead of them when they do inevitably box in a few laps' time, but we're barely going to be ahead. Some of you are probably wondering why on earth, you know, I didn't restart this race or anything like that.
Take button more. It's time to utilise some of this energy. Come on.
If you're newer here on the Matt212 channel, we just don't do that kind of thing. You know, if I have a bad race, I have a bad race. It's what happens sometimes. It's Formula 1. You know, we don't have any scripts or anything like that. It's just what happens. Oh, there's more chopping and changing going on. Sargent and Magnussen now going side by side through the first couple of corners. Unfortunately, yeah, it looks like Hulkenberg is having a pretty lonely afternoon of it as well. Not got enough pace to keep up with the Alpines. But yeah, just got that bit more than the Saubers and the other back markers. That works out well for us. Magnussen then apparently with issues, and apparently the next car in front is only 3/10 clear. Must be invisible, but yeah, Magnussen's starting to struggle then as we get towards the pit stop window. So we might be able to get a bit closer to him and maybe keep him at bay later on in the day. There we go, first few cars into the pit lane then. Hulkenberg is not one of them, so we might not be last.
Joe is stopping now.
So Guanyu into the pit lane then. Hamilton just making his way back out onto the circuit. We're going to be a little way back behind the Mercedes, although we will get the run back down towards turn 1. Are we going to get into the slipstream here? It's nice to actually see another car at this stage of the race. But yeah, everybody looking like they're one-stopping this, so yeah, we haven't really got the opportunity against the two stoppers or anything like that either.
The gap to the car behind by a few seconds per lap. Keep it up.
We've come out 10 seconds ahead of Zhou though, so that is basically our penalty. But we can't stay in the range of Lewis Hamilton. Nico Hulkenberg into the pit lane though, so we should be out ahead of our teammate again, at least for a short period here. Back to P14 we go. It's the highest we've ran since basically the start-finish line. But yeah, we're gonna be watching our mirrors still. I'm now starting to wonder whether we'll ever get a safety car in this race. Having a look then on the mini-map here, and it looks like Red Bull have seemingly got no pace in the race trim then. Ferrari have absolutely waltzed away. George Russell now seems to have pulled away from both of their cars as well, as we're just starting to struggle a little bit on our own tyres, just cooking that rear left ever so slightly. Obviously, Checo Perez, he needs to outfinish his teammate here this weekend, but if they were to finish like 5th and 6th, for example, they wouldn't really gain a lot on him. Obviously, championship can't be wrapped up yet. Helped, of course, by those couple of sprint races still before the end of the year. I believe there's still 120 points available for the driver's title. So Checo, I mean, he really wants that gap probably under 60 by the end of this one. I'll be amazed if he goes into Abu Dhabi with a shot still, even mathematically. We're seeing a lot of time. We're in the data mark. We're basically trying to no-stop this Grand Prix. It's actually not as bad as I thought it would be, though. The hards do seem to be hanging on, but ever so slightly overheating the rears still. But yeah, with the gaggle of cars in front having a bit of a battle, not really losing anything at all to the likes of Sargent behind. I think we could still beat Zhou. No, it might be Magnussen, actually, who's in last place. Either way, we might not finish last here. Oh, we've got yellows. We've got yellows. Come on, safety car now. Please, make this race be worth something towards the end of the afternoon there. I think it's one of the Alpines. I think it's Pierre Gasly that looks to be breaking down. So after a podium here last year, it is going to be disappointment for Pierre Gasly this weekend. Doesn't seem to be stopping in a dangerous location or anything like that. In fact, it looks like he's going to stop at the same place that Albon did. So don't think we're going to get a safety car for that one, annoyingly. There's Hulkenberg now closing in on myself. But wait, I mean, we're almost back to the points. Hamilton and Ocon, two of my title rivals, battling it out with each other. But yeah, considering if you factored out the 10-second penalty, this has probably been a really good recovery drive up to now. Oh, here comes Nico Hulkenberg then. We're actually going to have a side-by-side battle with another car. Admittedly, only very temporarily, as he almost does exactly what Magnussen did to me earlier on and tries to cut me off down at turn 1. Hulkenberg through though and up into P13. He does seem to have kicked on quite well towards the end of the year, but he still just hasn't quite got enough for points. As we near the end then of the Mexican Grand Prix, I'm just watching the gaps, and Sargent at the moment as well could be tripping up Zhou Guanyu and Daniel Ricciardo here right towards the end. We might still be able to get a 10-second gap over them, which would be an absolute miracle come the end of the afternoon here. We're actually fighting still with our teammate Hulkenberg. Going to try and look around the outside. We're on completely dead tyres, let's not forget. Feels like I'm ice skating through the middle sector, but round his outside will go. I mean, if we can just utilise this, I'm going to try and take it. Yeah, the one problem we do have is we've got no straight line speed when we are in front of our teammate. Again, he's going to look down the inside as we start lap 30. Oh, so close to banging wheels there. We're just allowing the car to run wide. We've never really battered Nico inside this series up to this point, so nice to actually have a bit of a wheel-to-wheel scrap with him.
Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by. 9.8 seconds.
Might well be our only ever wheel-to-wheel scrap in this series with our teammate. If we move to Ferrari next year, maybe Hulkenberg will follow me. I can't see it happening. Third time's the charm then. Nico Hulkenberg again, flying back down the inside. That time round, he's got way too much speed for us to really be able to contend with here. But yeah, you can see the gap to Sargent and Zhou. He's still going up in the right direction then. So if we can just work together, I would like to beat Hulkenberg on the road. But I'm not sure it's going to happen. Annoyingly as well, I think, yeah, we are pretty much on one of the last laps that we can get a safety car still in this race. Well, the F1 game likes to give you 2 green flag laps at the end of a race, so I believe from now we can no longer get a safety car this afternoon. But yeah, we're still trying to fight with our teammate Nico Hulkenberg as we make our way back down towards turn 1. To the outside we'll go of our teammate once again. That time around we're going to cleanly get the car stopped at the first corner once more. Are we going to see him come back at me? I mean, every single lap, the tyre difference between the pair of us just comes down that little bit more. There's Sargent 12 seconds back now, so as long as we don't really trip over each other, we should still beat the American. Charles Leclerc then on to the final lap of the Mexican Grand Prix, but Red Bull, a team that have dominated this year, have been so consistent. It looks like their gap at the top has just come down enough. And Charles Leclerc again, looks like he's going to get his second win on the bounce right towards the end of the year. But we saw this last season, Verstappen absolutely started throwing it away. He's then come back and dominated this year. Could he be lulling some of the other drivers into a false sense of security once again then, as we've got one last opportunity to try and get close to Hulkenberg? We have pretty much nailed the fuel usage as well this afternoon. We're pretty much down to neutral as we start this last lap of the Grand Prix, but we need to get good traction out of turn 3. Open up that DRS once again then, and try to potentially have a look to the inside of our teammate here. I haven't really been beating him on pace ever in this series, and I don't intend to now. Down the inside we go of our teammate here as Charles Leclerc out of the final corner. He is going to win the Mexican Grand Prix there. Ferrari making a 1-2. Yuki Tsunoda just trying to prove to the team right towards the end of the year why he is a valuable asset to them, but will it be enough to keep his seat in the future? But after damage on lap 1, yeah, this race was really rather lonely for us on the most part, but we actually learned quite a lot, and I'm happy with the way we were able to manage the tyres right the way to the end of the Grand Prix. There effectively, we have done a no-stop strategy here in Mexico, and we have made it work as well. As through the final corner we go, it is P13 in the end. Not the result we would have wanted, but I don't think we can be too upset.
What a drive! What a driver! Charles Leclerc takes the victory!
And it's always good to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
there we are then, at the end of the Mexican Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc takes the win ahead of his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. Russell, a decent drive actually from 7th on the grid, really was able to capitalise on both Red Bull and McLaren's seemingly lack of race pace there. Verstappen though, he does once again continue to edge out his championship lead over his teammate there. And Alonso, 4 points for him means I think he's one back ahead of us in the drivers' table as well there. So it's all still to play for between us and Aston Martin towards the end of the year there. 73 points though, the gap for Verstappen at the top of the table. I believe theoretically that could be wrapped up next time out in Brazil. He would have to leave the Brazilian Grand Prix with an 86 point lead, if I'm not mistaken there. So absolutely possible for Verstappen. As Charles Leclerc, yeah, only 15 points back now behind that second of the Red Bulls. Constructors-wise, yeah, I think Red Bull have all but guaranteed themselves they've wrapped that one up now. That should be a foregone conclusion come the end of next weekend there. But yeah, for us, the gap opens up 33 points to Aston Martin. I'm not holding out hope towards the end of the year. Thank you all so much for watching though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready in Brazil, Sao Paulo.